Welcome to the Blue Collar Millionaire Show. I am your host, Chad Hufford, and this is the podcast where we celebrate the unsung heroes of the working world. Each week, we dive into the incredible stories of honest, hardworking folks who have found financial success through grit, determination, and good old-fashioned elbow grease. So if you're ready to be inspired and learn how to turn your hard work into your own success story, you're in the right place. This is the Blue Collar Millionaire Show. Welcome back to another episode of the Blue Collar Millionaire Show, where we empower everyday people to accomplish extraordinary things. And it's all about choices and behavior. And that's what we're going to get into today with a very, very special guest. Best-selling author Bill Cates is joining us. And before I let him jump in, I just have to share my background with him. He writes to financial professionals, has for 20 years, and I've read several of his books and actually helped Veritas build our practice. And one of his kind of themes throughout his writing is the importance of referrals and establishing relationship capital and allowing other people to spread your message. And most of the people listening, most of our clients are referrals in one form or another. But Bill has a new book coming out, and he's going to talk a little bit about that, written directly for you as the investor to take control of your finances, build a better future. Bill Cates, it is an absolute pleasure and honor to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Chad, thank you. In case anybody just misheard, it's not Bill Gates. Bill Cates. I missed it by one letter, couple of billion, but what's a few billion among friends, right?
But you have a suitcase full of money behind you. So I mean,
if anybody's wondering what $1 million looks like in a suitcase, it's behind me. It's actually not as big as you would think it would be, right? Yeah, and what it was $1 million, 10 years ago is the same today. So
there you go. There you go. Well, as I mentioned, you've written a lot of books for professionals, yes, especially financial professionals. Yes. This book is really written to the individual, the yes, end user or the consumer. Why did you make that switch?
Yeah, this is my new mission. And really it came from being immersed in financial services for a long time. What happened is obviously I became so aware of how important it is for people to make educated financial decisions that are in their best interest. And I've been helping that mission a little bit by helping financial advisors find clients that are a good match for them and good match for everybody. But now I want to go kind of direct to individuals because I believe that everybody on this planet deserves to make educated financial decisions that are in their best interest. And so I'm going direct with this. This is my mission. This is my passion. And I've got a TED Talk coming up on this shortly after the book releases. So I'm all in on educating folks, and mostly around, and I know we'll get into this, around mindset, mistaken beliefs. Kind of I'm not a financial advisor like you. I'm not a numbers guy like you. I know enough to get into a room and get myself in trouble and then want to leave. But I do know about the behavior and about the thinking and the emotions. So that's what we're going to focus on.
Absolutely. And I think that is such a critical piece because knowledge is important, but it's action and behavior. And you just mentioned before we started recording, you mentioned meeting with your personal trainer earlier today. And I thought of like so much of your book is like fitness and health for money. But sometimes you need somebody in your corner to help hold you accountable because it's yes, not just yes, what you know, it's how well you execute what you know. And there's a lot of people with enough financial knowledge to be successful, but it's their behavior that's breaking down. So I don't think I mentioned the actual title of the book. It's Hidden Heist. And the subtitle is Stop Stealing.
Stop robbing.
Sorry, stop robbing
yourself. Yep.
Stop robbing yourself. And really that's the crux of this message is so many people are stealing from the future versions of themselves rather than serving that person. But you decided to take a financial lesson and wrap it in a parable around a bank heist. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So just just to make sure we get the full title, The Hidden Heist: Stop Robbing Yourself of Lasting Wealth. And you're right, the hidden heist, if you will, is our mistaken beliefs, mistaken assumptions, unhelpful emotions, and then because of that, resulting ineffective or counterproductive behavior on occasion. And so I know how powerful stories are, that we learn through stories. The Bible is parables. A lot of it is, right. There's other books out there, The Go Giver and The Alchemist, and there's just so many books out there that give lessons through stories. So I knew that would be a powerful way to get the message across, and a little different. Most of the parable books are kind of light, happy-go-lucky. There's a little tension. That's what creates a good story. And there's nothing wrong with light and happy, and I'm all for that. But I wanted a little more tension. I wanted a little more intrigue. I wanted to pull people into the story. So here I am writing a book about beliefs around money. Where better to stage this than a bank? And then I thought, bank robbery, that creates the tension.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the bank robbers are bumbly. So, for instance, the first line of the book is, everybody face down on the floor, chuck chuck, right? And now there's a savvy guy in there saw that the gun wasn't actually loaded, so that's the bumbly side. These guys didn't really come in to cause harm necessarily. They wanted the cash, grab the cash and run. But then that's where the comic relief starts to come on how bumbly these robbers are. And so then essentially they gather in the vault, the hostages, while they're negotiating with SWAT. And by the way, we interviewed a real hostage negotiator. I know you work with first responders. I don't know if you got a real hostage negotiator, but we have a video of him, and some of what we learned from him is in the book. And so they're in the vault, and they're talking about why these guys robbing the bank, and they start talking about money, and we have about 7 different mistaken assumptions and beliefs, and so each one is represented with one of the characters in the vault. And the conversation ensues, and one of the bank robbers listens in, and he gets a little educated on it, and there's some tension, comic relief tension. And through all that, we hope that the reader will create more awareness, more self-awareness around their beliefs, assumptions, maybe stories they're telling themselves that aren't as helpful as they could be, maybe lead to changing behavior. And you'll be pleased to know, Chad, that we are big advocates for the readers of the book to find a financial professional. Now, your folks listening here have found you, and that's great. But we're big believers in that. We need that coach, quarterback, whatever metaphor you want to use, to come in and hold us to the proper behavior for us. So that's the book in a nutshell.
Well, what's interesting in the book too, and I had the benefit of being sent kind of the first draft and read through that, and this, while this bank robbery is going on, the reader is really listening. If they're paying attention, if they have some self-awareness, what they're really realizing is, my own bank is being robbed by me. I
Yes.
I am robbing my future self. And that's, again, back to the subtitle, stop robbing your future self of lasting wealth. But in reality, so many people are doing that. And you and I both agree that a lot of that starts with a broken mindset. It
Yes.
is beliefs that aren't in line with where people think they want to go. And there's a Satchel Paige quote, the pitcher from the Dodgers, I can't remember. He says,
Yeah.
"It's not what you don't know that hurts you. It's what you know that just ain't so." It's believing things to be true that are false. That's what gets people in trouble. So why are beliefs so important, Bill?
Yeah, and I often like to say, don't believe everything you believe, because we all, I mean, we're human. So and sometimes we form beliefs and assumptions when we're younger that maybe served us when we were younger, don't serve us now. A lot of the beliefs that most of us have started from our parents, our primary caregivers, and then usually get accentuated and reinforced by society and all the messages there. But yes, the fundamental concept here, which I think is what I've learned in my own life and has helped me in all areas of my life, is that fundamental to being able to solve a problem, make a change, correct behavior, whatever it is we're trying to accomplish, what we usually do is we'll go to strategies and tactics, right? Maybe we do more of this or do more of that, or maybe we have a different strategy. And that's okay. I do that too. We all should do that. But there's something more fundamental, and that's, what do we believe? What do we believe about the situation? What do we believe about ourselves? What do we believe about the other person? So to make it personal, let's say in an interpersonal relationship with a spouse, with a partner, if we don't believe that the marriage, the relationship is savable,
Hmm.
then we won't entertain strategies and tactics that might help do that. In ourselves around money. So if we believe that wealthy people are greedy, selfish, they lie, they cheat, some negative. I've done about almost 100 money stories interviews. I'm almost at 100. And one of the guys I was interviewing, Michael, his father, who was actually a police officer, a decorated police officer, great guy, had this belief that rich people were evil,
Hmm.
right? And so Michael grew up with that, and he had to fight against that, and he did overcome that. But think about it: if we have a belief that rich people are evil, or there's negativity around, well, we can't become what we detest, right? Cognitive dissonance settles in unless we can overcome that and realize it's a mistaken belief. And Jeff C. West, my co-author in The Hidden Heist, really says it all so well in this book. And I've adopted this phrase now. I even use it with my wife. And she says, "Are you quoting from your book?" And I go, "Well, yeah, but it's true." And so here's the phrase: some are, most aren't. And we can apply that to almost every stereotype that we can think of, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
around money or anything else, right? There's often reason for the stereotype, right? There's some evidence that created the stereotype for some reason or another, but most are, some aren't, some are, most aren't. And so that's kind of what we hit, this what is the belief that may be getting in the way of you solving a problem or achieving some goal that you want. And so we start with that, and we've surrounded it around money, and then the bank robbery makes it interesting.
Well, I think to your point, if I believe that money is evil, or I believe maybe it's not evil, but I believe it will corrupt me, then I
Yes.
think people
Yes.
do end up in this kind of self
Yeah.
sabotage cycle. But I was just thinking back again, back to your conversation with your personal trainer, just thinking about that as well. Like, if you don't believe that you can get in better shape, and your trainer is okay, we'll try the treadmill this time. We'll try the elliptical this time. Well, now we'll try squats. Now we'll try, like, you keep changing tools and tactics. But at the end of the day, Bill, if you don't believe there's a healthier version of you on the other side of that workout, you're not going to put your full effort into it.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to eat as healthy. Like, if why am I sacrificing? Why am I doing all this work if a better me isn't on the side of the other side of the sacrifice? So I think another really important part of the parable that you and Jeff wrote, is the belief that it's possible. And
Can
go ahead.
yeah, I'm sorry. So I want to address that because, on the rich side, money corrupts, money changes you. That's another one. Money will change me in a negative way. On the flip side, one of the characters, people that don't have a lot, poor people, this is, well, they're lazy, they don't care, they're this, stereotypes, right? Some are, most aren't. Most actually work very hard. And so here's one of the things that allows someone who maybe was born into poverty, maybe was born into some very difficult situations, was able to overcome that. Why do some people get out of that and overcome it, and why do some not? Well, one of the big things is they were exposed to a different way. They were exposed to a role model. They were exposed to a mentor. They were exposed to a coach, maybe through sports or chess or anything, right? They were exposed to a different way. So then that belief that there is a different way, there could be a different me, that's the seed. And so that's the power of, obviously, of mentoring and putting good role models in all neighborhoods and walks of life. That shows that there's a different way. And that's why some of those folks are able to overcome all those negative situations that they were born into. They didn't choose to be born into poverty, but they got exposed to an opportunity. And so that's the power of belief in our life. And it's global, it's community, and it's our interpersonal relationships, and it's our relationship with ourselves. Uh, and we all have a money story. Look, one thing I know, Chad, and you know this too, because you're in the business. We've all got crap around money. We've all got mental crap. We've all got stuff. I've got anxiety around money. I don't have to have anxiety around money. I've done quite well, and yet that's something that grew up in me when I was young, probably from my parents who lived through the Depression, and they had anxiety, and I took that on. But now I'm aware of it, and so when that song plays on my radio, I just turn the volume down. Right? It may never go away, but I know what to do when the song comes on. So, and that's one of the things we wanted to talk about in the book. It starts with awareness. You have to be aware of the problem, aware of what might be causing it, and then now we can change. Once you have that awareness.
Well, I think that's the beauty of wrapping this in a parable too, because it allows you to see maybe an old problem in a new light, where you've bumped up against this thing, and it's easy to shut down a new message if it's presented or it's easy to shut down an old message. I'm sorry. But when that timeless principle is presented in a new way, in this case, in a bank robbery, it gets you to think of it. You give it a chance to create a different level of awareness. And that's what's so powerful about these timeless principles articulated in a story that kind of sheds a fresh light on them. So one of the things that go back to this idea of it being possible, though, it isn't just people who are necessarily born into poverty. Like this is the Blue Collar Millionaire Show. We have people who are a ton of first responders. You've got a lot of SWAT guys listening to this right now.
Yep. And we have SWAT in the book, by the way. SWAT is well represented in the book.
They are
in a great, good, dignified way. And Gabby, the SWAT team leader, the negotiator, very sharp, very clever. Anyway, sorry I interrupted you, but they should know they may see themselves in this a little bit after they read the book.
And we've got plumbers and pipe fitters, electricians, and we have people who are very, very good at their jobs, but there's a tendency for people to tell themselves this story is, I don't have the expertise in finances to be successful, therefore I will never reach financial independence or will never be able to retire comfortably. And especially in law enforcement, just to stay there for just a moment, we've seen across the United States the defined benefit pension slowly become extinct.
Yes.
And now the narrative for a lot of first responders, law enforcement, fire departments, even in the private sector, like in the oil field, those pensions have gone away. Now people are being told, like, you can't do this. You don't have a pension. Nobody's taking care of you, and you don't have the knowledge. What I love about your book is the 6 principles for financial independence. Like, they're basic. They're not easy, because simple doesn't necessarily mean it's easy, but it doesn't take a tremendous background in finance to be successful. No. It's going to take grit. It's going to take discipline. It's going to take some perseverance, but it's more of a character thing than a knowledge thing. Wouldn't you agree?
It is. It really does come down to discipline. Belief is important because your belief can get in the way of the discipline. I actually, in the book, we let people kind of register the book to get to the vault. The vault is a body of assets that we've created that we didn't want to make the book too big. So if you get the book and then you go to the vault, you can get these other assets. And one of those is a guide that I've written called, and you'll appreciate this because it's right up your alley, The Ordinary Millionaire. Right? The ordinary millionaire. Anyone can become a millionaire, and actually many times over, with discipline, and time, of course, is a helpful thing. It's never too soon to start. It's never too late to start. But yeah, so it's and that's why you're so important in people's lives, right? Because look, I could know nothing of finance. I could have the worst beliefs, and if I hire someone I trust to guide me through and maybe question my beliefs or ignore my beliefs and just do what's right for me anyway, then I'm still going to be in pretty good shape, right? I've worked with thousands of financial advisors over the years, helping them get better at what they do. And one of the things they do is they save their clients from themselves, right? And their clients know that I need to be saved from myself because I know I don't have the discipline, the knowledge, the full understanding. I need you. And that's why we advocate for that. In fact, one of the I don't want to give away too much of the book, but one of the main characters is kind of a financial advisor, and he's the one imparting the knowledge, a very unlikely financial advisor. I think for your group, I'm going to give away something in the book because he's a police officer who was shot in the line of duty and disabled and retired early and then became a financial advisor. So for some of the folks that are in your world, they might appreciate that line in the book that I don't usually tell other people because we want it to be a surprise. Um, and so, by the way, you mentioned my fitness trainer, which I had a session today. I gave him an advance copy of the book, and when I saw him today, he says, "I want 3 more copies for my kids." And so here's what we found with the book: for anyone could benefit from the Hidden Heist, and particularly younger adults who still have a chance to shift beliefs and shift behavior. And what I like to say to the younger adults, it's lessons in money that your parents didn't give you, couldn't give you because they didn't know, like my parents, or you weren't listening when they did. And so, we're trying to reach the younger generation as well because they have a shot at changing changing their beliefs and changing their behavior and really doing quite well for themselves and for generations to come after them.
Well, I just want to make 2 quick points, then I'll turn it
Please.
back to you.
Yeah.
Point number 1 is somebody is teaching your kids about money. It might be TikTok.
Yeah.
It might be YouTube.
Yeah.
Somebody's teaching your kids about money and they're going to learn a lot of the wrong things. And
Yeah.
the book starts with, there's 7 money truths. A lot of them are wide misconceptions. They're oftentimes things that people don't see the way that they really are. They're through this negative lens, or they're through a filter that does significant damage to our beliefs. So being able to get clarity around that, but if it's going to be, to your point, it's going to be easier if you're kind of a clean slate reading through this.
Cleaner
So I just
slate. Yeah.
encourage listeners, like if you have kids, this is a great way to introduce these conversations because your kids are learning about money. It might be from credit card companies. It might be from 12-year-old YouTubers that made $1 million and have no business having that kind of wealth. Or it could be you helping them learn fundamental timeless principles. I've been doing this for 20 years, but I grew up in the financial industry. I've seen the principles that Bill
Yes.
writes about
Yes.
transform people's lives for 4.5 decades. The other thing I also want to say, Bill, and I'm going to turn it back to you, is yes, it's awesome if you can get started early, but it's never too late to start doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
I had somebody in my office yesterday, and we talked through what retirement could look like. She's about 3 years away from retirement, and she started crying and said, "I did not know this was possible." Nobody had ever sat down with her and showed her what was possible. And I think if all you do reading this book is keep an open mind about what you can accomplish if you put the work in, this book could be transforming for you.
Thank you.
So, with these, you have 7 money truths, 6 principles for financial independence, or 6 laws. And I will tell you both sets of these are spot on, but they're simple enough that you can write them on the back of a pizza box. And that's what happens in the story, right?
Yeah. So Alden Beckett, the main character, is starting to share some of his wisdom and teaching and questioning some of the assumptions. And so the bank manager is in there and said, we better write these down. Well, in a good heist, a good Hodges movie, pizza gets delivered, right? So a couple boxes of pizza gets delivered. And so the bank manager has a Sharpie and he starts writing on the inside top of the box, these truths and these beliefs in the pizza box. And it was fun finding an artist to draw a pizza box and getting the text in there. And, we had a lot of fun like that. And by the way, we also interviewed, just a little backstory. We interviewed 2 bank robbery hostages. One, Shirley Davis, who had a gun pointed at her head. And we interviewed, and if you get to the vault, you can watch those interviews with the hostage negotiator and the bank robbery victims and stuff. So there's a lot of real life stuff in there that we made. We wanted it to be based on real. All these money stories I did, the characters that talk about the different beliefs and perspectives, they came out of the interviews I did with real people. And so it's all real stuff, just wrapped in a really fun. I got to give a lot of credit to my co-author, Jeff C. West. I kind of came with a straightforward look. This is what I want to teach. These are the beliefs. These are the principles. And he's the one who helped me bring it to life in a story, in an engaging story. And the part of me that just likes to be straightforward with information, I put that in the appendix. So everything comes out in the story, but I was afraid people might miss it because they'd be engaged in the story. So then in appendices, I hit people just straightforward. So you get it through the story, you get it through the appendix. You can't walk away without having a sense of what might be different and what might be possible for you or for whoever you give the book to.
And that also makes a nice, easy resource too. As people are walking their way through the steps and things like that, you don't have to try to find where it was in the story. You can go right to the back and say, okay, here's the principle outlined and explained. And right now, as we are releasing this, your book is now live, September 16th. Yes. The book is out. They can go to hiddenheist.com.
The Hidden Heist, yeah. Hidden Heist might work, but thehiddenheist.com.
Sorry. Thehiddenheist.com. We'll put that in the show notes for sure. Where can people find you, learn more about you, follow you? If they want to know more, you mentioned the vault, which is more resources that they can get after registering their book. Yep. But where else can people find Bill Cates and see what he's up to?
Sure. Yeah. So thehiddenheist.com will take you to the book page. And there's a little movie trailer, a 1-minute book trailer. Very fun, interesting. Or you can go to Amazon. I mean, just where most people buy the books anyway, and just look for The Hidden Heist. For me, Bill Cates, not Bill Gates, essentially referralcoach.com is my regular business, referralcoach.com, or send an email. I'm happy to correspond with everyone. I love it. I love talking to folks, which is bill@referralcoach.com, bill@referralcoach.com. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find.
Well, once again, it has been an honor chatting with you. We've collaborated on a few things over the last few months, and I just want to thank you for how you helped me and the folks that we work with. You've been a blessing in my life, and just want to ask you, leave you with a chance to leave the audience with one nugget, one takeaway. If you could leave them with one truth today, what would that be?
Yeah, it has to be the whole concept of belief, which is if you are stuck, wherever you're stuck, whether it's a relationship, whatever it is, or there's an opportunity that's frustrating you, look at the strategies, look at the tactics, get advice on all of that. But first, look at what am I believing about myself, about the other person or other players, about the situation? What could be getting in the way that's not allowing me to see other possible strategies or other possible tactics? And so that's fundamental, I think, to living a more productive, happier life is being willing to be introspective from time to time, not all the time to time. Just take a time out and take a look at those beliefs.
Well, I appreciate what you said about relationships too, because this book, I think, won't just help you with your relationship with money. It will help develop a better relationship with a future version of you.
Yeah, so I hope so. Thank you,
Bill. It's been once again a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on this great new book.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Thanks for listening to the Blue Collar Millionaire Show. We hope this episode has been inspiring and beneficial to you. If you want help on your journey to financial freedom, reach out to us at veritasalaska.com. We'd love to sit down over a cup of coffee with you, either here in our office or virtually, and get to know you and your needs. And though this podcast is free of charge, we do ask that you please do us two quick favors. If you enjoyed the episode, give our pod a great rating on iTunes or whatever podcast platform you use, and also give us a follow on Instagram. We hope you have a wonderful day filled with gratitude and intentionality. God bless.